Yo, yo, what's up, family? Hope y'all are doing well. Um, I wanted to go ahead and start talking to you guys about the two witnesses. A lot of people, number one, this is just my perspective on it. Do I know for sure who the two witnesses are? Absolutely not. Um, I don't really think anybody knows who the two witnesses will be. There are a lot of things in the Bible that kind of point to certain ones. But the way I look at it, it would be Enoch and Elijah, possibly, or it could be two complete regular people, and a lot of people would say it was Moses. I really don't think it's Moses. I will say that much. I think it could be somebody that, we least expect. A lot of people say it's Israel and the church. I don't see how that many people, that doesn't seem right because it says it will be two men and the two men will be killed, and for 3.5 days their bodies will lay in the streets as people celebrate their death. And then on the third day, basically, their bodies are going to rise. So, I'm sorry, guys. I'm distracted. I'm looking up at the sky. That happens. Okay, so who are the two witnesses in the book of Revelation? Some people would say it's Moses or Elijah, that it may represent Israel or the church, or it could be two regular people like you and me. In Revelation chapter 11, verses 3 through 12, is a description of two individuals who will help accomplish God's work during the tribulation. I will appoint my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. That's in verse 3. Nowhere does the Bible identify these two witnesses, family, by name, although people throughout the years have speculated. So if someone tries to tell you they know for sure, no. No one really knows for sure who those two people are going to be. And God just has a way of just doing things that our minds can't comprehend or understand anyway. So it's probably going to end up, every speculation will probably end up being wrong. You know what I mean? Like, that's how God works. Like, everything that we think, how we think God would work is like the total opposite. You know what I'm saying? That's why he said his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. We're not always going to understand his plans. That's why we're to live by faith. Let's see. The two witnesses in Revelation will have miraculous powers to accompany their message, family, in Revelation 11:6. And no one will be able to stop them in their work. And that's in verse 5. There will come a point, though, where the beast will kill them. And like I said, the wicked will rejoice, allowing the bodies of the fallen prophets to line the streets. And that's in verses 7 through 10. 3.5 days later, however, the two witnesses will be resurrected in full view of their enemies and ascend into heaven. And that's in verses 11 through 12. So there are three primary theories, on who these people could be. Moses and Elijah, Enoch and Elijah are two unknown believers from God that he calls, that, someone regular that's living right now. You know what I mean? Moses and Elijah seem as possible as the two witnesses due to miracles that John says the witnesses will perform. The witnesses will have power to turn water into blood. That's in Revelation 11:6, which duplicates a famous miracle of Moses in Exodus chapter 7, family. That's why a lot of people will say they think it's Moses. And the witnesses will have the power to destroy their enemies with fire. That's in Revelation 11:5, which corresponds to an event in Elijah's life in 2 Kings 1. Also giving strength to this view is the fact that Moses and Elijah both appear with Jesus at the Transfiguration. That's in Matthew 17, 3 through 4. Further, family, the Jewish tradition expects Moses and Elijah to return based on the prophecy of Elijah's coming in Malachi 4:5. And God promised to raise up the prophet like Moses in Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 and 18. which some Jews believe are the necessities basically for Moses' return. The second theory is Enoch and Elijah, which are seen as possibilities of the two witnesses because of the unique circumstances surrounding their exit from the world. Now, see, this is where I think, because it says that every person has to die. Like you have to die so you can have your judgment, more or less. Well, Enoch and Elijah both are the only two known ones in the Bible that never faced death. So basically, they were just taken out of this world. They never even died. So to me, it would make sense to send two people back that has not faced death yet, because they're going to be killed. But yet, in 3.5 days, they're going to be resurrected. So it just makes more sense to me that it would be Enoch and Elijah, because they also both had certain powers that God gave them. So this is who I go with. This is my personal opinion, though. Like I said, nobody really knows for sure who these two witnesses are going to be. But these two people are going to be set on fire for the gospel. Like they're not going to care what nobody says. Nobody's going to be able to scare them or to taunt them or nothing. They're going to stand very bold in what they believe in. In Hebrews 9:27, which says that all men are appointed to die once, family. The fact that, neither one of them experienced death seems to qualify them both for the job to be the two witnesses. In addition, both Enoch and Elijah were prophets who pronounced God's judgment in 1 Kings 17:1 and Jude chapter 1, verses 14 through 15. So, it just seems like more to me, because they were taken directly to heaven without experiencing death, and it says you have to die, so that just means that would make sense to me if they were sent back. And guys, don't be fooled by all this talk with the government. There again, please don't trust anything the government says. Like when they want to talk about aliens, it ain't, dude, they're fallen angels. I'm going to say this too, I'm like blue in the face, but don't be deceived by man. All these things are in the book of Revelation, and they will come to pass. A lot of these fallen angels are going to have a little time to stir up some chaos, Their time is limited, though. But there's an interesting passage, family, in Zechariah 4 that gives us a prototype of the two witnesses of Revelation. Zechariah has a vision in which he sees a solid gold lampstand. On top is a bowl of oil and an olive tree that stands on each side. The lampstand gives its light without human maintenance, being constantly supplied by the olive oil flowing from the trees into the bowl. God's message to Zechariah was that God's work rebuilding the temple would be accomplished, basically, right? So, to me, there's so many things that can point to who those two people may be. And but I'll read you a couple more scriptures on Elijah and Enoch. You can read Hebrews 11:5. By the faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. 2 Kings 2:11. And it came to pass, as still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. So there again, family, just my personal opinion. Don't know for sure. But there's one thing that we can be reassured of as believers and as brothers and sisters, is that this generation is more likely going to witness the two witnesses. You'll know. To me, I think as believers, we're going to know. We're going to know when we see these two people, because these two people are going to stand out amongst the rest, And it's really going to be awesome to watch. And I mean, can you imagine, like, all these people cheering these people's deaths, and all of a sudden, like, these people just stand up and just stare at them and, like, go up in the sky? I mean, it says, if one part of the story, it says, if you basically try to stop them,